Hello friends, I'm Dr. Gunjan Gupta, a dermatologist from Noida practicing at Skin Concepts. Today, I'm here to talk about COVID 19 and skin. In the last 1.5 years, we have all been dealing with a unique virus with a portal of entry in the respiratory tract, but it spreads to many other systems like the gastrointestinal, vascular, and central nervous system. Newer aspects of this coronavirus are being discovered as we deal with the second wave. This virus triggers a number of immune responses and hence the skin is also affected. Significant association has been found between skin rashes and COVID 19. The rashes that I am about to discuss have been divided into two broad categories. The rashes that we commonly see in the OPD because of the COVID pandemic lifestyle and the protective measures that we have adopted, and the rashes due to the COVID 19 infection itself. Beginning with rashes that patients commonly present to us in the OPD because of the COVID pandemic lifestyle, it's mask acne or acne under the mask. It's more common in people who are already prone to acne. You will see red bumps on either side of the nose, that's called the butterfly area of the face, also on the bridge of the nose or on the chin where the mask presses onto the skin. There can be red bumps or pus-filled lesions called acneiform lesions. These are caused by the occlusive conditions under the mask, leading to increased temperature, increased sweating, and increased sebum production. The mechanical pressure and friction caused by the mask also contributes. Treatment and prevention is also important. Prevention is washing your face, especially if you have an oily skin, with a cleanser before wearing the mask, using a cotton mask under your N95, or you could use a cotton gauze piece to absorb the excess sweat. This cotton mask needs to be washed and ironed daily. You need to change your mask very regularly. In case you still develop the acne, you can use, for mild acne, you can always use clindamycin, erythromycin gels along with benzoyl peroxide. If they don't settle, you need to see a dermatologist who will treat it along the lines of regular acne. Another one of the common complaints nowadays that we see in the OPD now is contact dermatitis of the hands. This can be because of irritant or allergic contact dermatitis. The symptoms are common: redness, irritation, burning, stinging, peeling of the skin on the back of the hands or fingertips or on the palms. This is due to the excessive exposure to chemicals of sanitizers, household chemicals. Then you have repeated hand washing. All this leads to destruction of the natural skin barrier. Also, it can be an allergic reaction to the constituents of the hand sanitizers. A lot of dubious quality hand sanitizers are nowadays available. Prevention is using a sanitizer of good quality, especially those containing moisturizing agents like aloe vera or glycerin. Using sanitizer which is alcohol based is preferable to those containing triclosan or chlorhexidine. Alcohol is generally in the range of 60 to 90% ethyl alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. Whenever possible, a mild soap water is always better than using a sanitizer. Pat dry your hands and always use a moisturizer after washing your hands. An occlusive moisturizer is preferable, containing white soft paraffin or oatmeal complex or ceramides, etc. For example, Moisturex Soft, you have Beneficia Max, Oliceft Max, etc. More severe cases will need the attention of a doctor in the form of corticosteroid ointments along with moisturizers. Second most common is infections because of the prolonged use of PPE kits, especially in the frontline workers. The occlusive conditions lead to increased incidences of fungal and bacterial infections. Bacterial infections are generally in the form of multiple boils or folliculitis, as we call them. Topical antibacterial creams like fusidic acid or mupirocin suffices. Rarely oral antibiotic is required. Fungal infections are also on the rise. Jock itch, athlete's foot, or intertrigo, that is in fungal infection of the body folds. How do you prevent these fungal infections? You need to wear loose cotton clothing which is changed twice a day, undergarments changed twice a day, all the clothes and towels should be sun dried, body folds should be dried very well after bathing. And in spite of that, in case you develop infections, oral and topical antifungals are prescribed by your doctor. Nail and nail fold infections are also very common because of excessive hand washing. You have acute infection in the form of acute paronychia or chronic paronychia or nail plate infection called as onychomycosis. Acute paronychia is generally painful. You have purulent pus discharge from under the nail folds. In chronic paronychia, generally there is no pain. There is just peeling and scaling of skin from the nail folds. Nail plate is, if in case it is affected, is yellowish discoloration and loosening of the nail plate will be seen. Prevention is keeping your hands dry as much as possible, applying a moisturizer at bedtime around your nails. In case of acute paronychia, a simple antibiotic cream with combination with hydrocortisone is given. In case of chronic paronychia, also a moisturizing and anti-inflammatory ointments suffice. While in case of nail plate infection, an antifungal nail lacquer is given if only 1 or 2 nails are involved. In case of multiple nail involvement, you will need oral antifungals. Hair fall is a very common symptom that is being seen nowadays. You see that in patients of COVID, post-COVID, as well as patients under stress because of the lockdown. So physical and mental stress as well as the illness and the nutritional deficiencies in recovering patients are the reason of the hair fall. There is overall loss of volume. A healthy balanced diet rich in iron and protein is very important to correct this hair fall. Post-COVID hair fall generally lasts for 3 to 6 months. So nutritional deficiencies need to be corrected, proper diet, oral supplements, especially those containing biotin and zinc. In case it doesn't settle, you will need topical serums containing growth peptides and minoxidil under the care of a dermatologist. Now coming on to skin rashes because of the COVID-19 infection itself. Skin signs are not listed in the CDC list of symptoms signaling COVID infection, but a significant association has been found. Around 20% of the patients report skin rashes as the first sign of COVID, and about 40% of people develop skin rashes during the infection or post-COVID up to 6 weeks after infection. There is no unique marker of COVID, but more and more conditions are being recognized as more commonly seen in COVID. Some of the common patterns of rashes that we have seen are herpes zoster, pityriasis rosea, urticaria or hives, purpura and vasculitis rashes, viral exanthemes of different patterns, oral ulcers, and COVID toes. The rashes that I have mentioned are generally seen in mild to moderate cases. I will not be taking up those rashes seen in severe cases which are admitted in ICUs with coagulopathies. Herpes zoster, interestingly we are seeing herpes zoster in COVID, post-COVID as well as post-vaccination. You see a grouped painful fluid-filled lesions on one side of the body in the area of one nerve. It is because of the reactivation of the chickenpox because of the lower immunity. Treatment consists of oral antivirals and antibiotics and anti-inflammatory to take care of the pain. Pityriasis rosea, this pattern of rash was believed to be triggered by viral infections, and hence COVID also triggers this pattern of rash. It begins with a single big patch 5 to 10 centimeter in size on the trunk with mild scaling. It is then followed by a Christmas tree like eruption all over the body. In the front or the back of the body, limbs, upper limbs and lower limbs can also be involved. Now this rash is generally self-limiting, settles down in 6 to 8 weeks or even lesser. It doesn't need much of a treatment other than anti-allergics if there is itching, or topical emollients and mild corticosteroid ointments. Urticaria or hives, as we call them in colloquial language, is very common in COVID, post-COVID as well as post-vaccination. You see sudden eruption of very severely itchy wheals all over the body. They settle down in few hours to erupt again. So this is a transient rash which keeps coming and going. But in COVID, generally the rash is more severe and long-lasting. It is a non-contagious rash. Rarely it is accompanied by swelling of the lips. In that case, you need to be alert about any bluish tinge on the lips to rule out any oxygen deficiency. Treatment consists of simple anti-allergics like cetirizine, levocetirizine, fexofenadine, etc. in most cases. In case you develop hives after the first dose of vaccination, it is not a contraindication for the second dose. You just need to take an anti-allergic on the day of the vaccination and stay back properly for the observation period of 30 to 45 minutes after vaccination. Purpura and vasculitic rashes, another common presentation in post-vaccination as well as post-COVID patients. You see deep red, 2 to 4 small deep red papules or bumps on the lower legs commonly, both sides. Generally asymptomatic, rarely there is mild swelling of the legs or soreness. Only in very severe cases you see a net-like pattern called as livedoid rash. Your doctor will probably investigate to rule out any more severe involvement of the internal organs in the form of your urine or bleeding profile, clotting profile, kidney function and liver function test will be ordered. Again, this is a self-limiting rash, generally settles down in 6 to 8 weeks with mild anti-inflammatory and anti-allergic tablets and topical corticosteroids. This rash erupts because of the damage to the superficial small vessels in the skin. Viral exanthemes. Exantheme means widespread. Like all viral fevers, most of them which are accompanied by a rash, COVID fever is also seen with many patterns of rashes. Some of the patterns that we have observed in COVID and post-COVID cases are a widespread maculopapular rash, that is something resembling a prickly heat all over the body. You can have a chickenpox-like rash all over the body, but it is not chickenpox. You can see eruptions only on the arms and legs, or eruptions only in the photosensitive area, that is on the face, arms, etc. All these generalized rashes need to be differentiated from drug rash, as most of the COVID patients are on multiple drugs following treatment. COVID toes is another common condition that we see in COVID patients. You see deep red bumps on the fingers or toes, both sides. It can be accompanied by soreness of fingers or itching. Now, chilblains is a condition that we generally see in colder climate on the digits because of the compromised circulation, but in COVID patients we are seeing it in warmer climate also. On most of these rashes, treating the primary infection suffices. You do not need any specialized treatment of the rash other than symptomatic treatment. But the takeaway point is, in case any rash of suspicious origin, unexplained origin, especially accompanied by fever, you need to get an RT-PCR done to detect early COVID. Coming on to oral ulcers, another common finding in post-COVID and COVID patients. You see small ulcers on the palate and the gum, and they may be accompanied by soreness of mouth. In case there are rashes present on the body also, they may be part of the drug reaction. So the causes can be COVID infection itself, the nutritional deficiencies, the poor oral hygiene along with the above conditions, and rarely drug reaction. Treatment is maintaining oral hygiene, use of oral nutritional supplements, and topical antifungal mouth paints to prevent secondary infection. As our understanding of the disease improves, many of these above conditions might be included in the indicative signs of COVID and help us in detecting early COVID. Thank you so much.